If you look at the face of former Vice President Mike Pence as he emerged from the federal courthouse today, you don't see defiance. You see resolve mixed with regret, a man carrying the weight of a fractured alliance on his shoulders. You are looking at a man who knows he just delivered the most damning testimony of his life against the president he once served loyally, the one who elevated him to the second highest office in the land. At 9 a.m. this morning, Pence walked into the U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C., clutching a weathered leather folder that likely held notes from those fateful days, dressed in a crisp, dark blue suit that screamed understated professionalism, flanked by two personal attorneys who moved like shadows at his side. He ignored the swarm of reporters shouting questions, bypassed the flashing cameras hungry for a soundbite, passed through the metal detectors of security with mechanical precision, and vanished inside the building's marble halls. 4 hours and 11 minutes later, exactly 251 minutes that felt like an eternity to those tracking every tick, at 1:11 p.m., he reappeared on the courthouse steps. His expression was stone-cold neutral, a mask honed from years in the political arena. He paused briefly at the top, his eyes scanning the lenses, capturing his every micro-movement, then strode purposefully to his waiting black SUV without uttering a single syllable, leaving the media frenzy in his wake. Inside that courtroom, sealed from public view but leaking like a sieve through insider sources, for those exact 251 minutes, the man who stood as Trump's right hand for 4 tumultuous years testified against him. And according to sources inside the proceedings, people with direct knowledge who spoke on condition of anonymity, what he revealed is nothing short of explosive, a betrayal that could shatter Trump's defense in the revived January 6th election interference trial, exposing the raw underbelly of desperation in the final days of the 2020 presidency. At 1:34 p.m., the lead prosecutor, a no-nonsense figure from Jack Smith's lingering special counsel team, issued a terse, carefully worded statement to the assembled press. Former Vice President Mike Pence testified today for approximately 4 hours. His testimony was complete, detailed, and cooperative. We have no further comment at this time. The words hung in the air like a guillotine blade, signaling the gravity without giving away the game. Then at 1:47 p.m., the courtroom heard something unprecedented, an audio recording no one outside the tight-knit investigation had accessed before. A chilling January 5th, 2021, phone call between Donald Trump and Mike Pence, unearthed from White House archives and forensically authenticated. Trump's voice cuts through crystal clear, laced with urgency bordering on panic. Mike, I am begging you, please do not certify these votes. You can stop this. You have to stop this. The plea echoes like a confession in the quiet courtroom. Subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button hard, because what I'm about to break down for you in meticulous detail is 4 hours of insider testimony from Trump's own VP, plus a smoking gun recording that captures the former president pleading, almost groveling, to overturn the 2020 election results. This isn't some partisan hack slinging mud from the sidelines. This is the ultimate insider, the man who shared the Oval Office briefings, who weathered scandals and impeachments by Trump's side, who stared down a mob on January 6th chanting for his hanging, laying it all bare in federal court about what really went down before and on that infamous day. The truth isn't coming from enemies. It's coming from the heart of the administration itself. In the next 40 minutes, I'm going to take you inside that sealed courtroom session, step by step, as if you were sitting in the gallery. We'll unpack the tortuous legal path that forced Pence to the witness stand against his will, the leaked details of his bombshell account that paint a portrait of relentless pressure, the verbatim audio that exposes Trump's desperation in his own unfiltered words, and why this turning point could doom the defense strategy entirely. You're witnessing a historic fracture in real time. The once unbreakable Trump-Pence alliance splintering under oath, with consequences that could reshape the trial, fracture the Republican Party further, and send shockwaves through the 2026 political landscape like a seismic shift, reminding everyone that loyalty has limits when the Constitution calls. Let's be brutally clear about what unfolded behind those courthouse doors, because the mainstream media is tiptoeing around it, too scared or conflicted to call it outright betrayal, too hesitant to label it the mutiny it truly is. This wasn't a routine deposition or a friendly chat over coffee. This was the vice president turning state's evidence against his former boss in the heart of the January 6th prosecution, a case that, despite dismissals and delays, has clawed its way back through appeals and DOJ maneuvers in Trump's second term. The charges loom large: conspiracy to defraud the United States by undermining the electoral process, obstruction of an official proceeding by trying to halt Congress's certification, and more. Pence's appearance was no sideshow. It was the main event, a loyalist's reluctant dagger thrust into the narrative Trump has clung to for years. Pence's road to this moment was a legal labyrinth, a gauntlet of subpoenas, appeals, and hard choices that tested his faith in the system he swore to uphold. When Trump was indicted on those core charges related to election subversion, Pence was slapped with a subpoena to testify before the grand jury, pulling him into the vortex he had tried to avoid. He fought it tooth and nail, invoking the arcane speech or debate clause from the Constitution, arguing that his role presiding over the Senate on January 6th shielded him from any questioning about legislative acts. It was a clever gambit. As Senate president, he claimed, certifying the votes was a protected duty, immune from prosecutorial prying. The district court shot it down flat, ruling the clause didn't apply to executive branch pressures. The D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals affirmed the decision in a blistering opinion. Even the Supreme Court, with its conservative tilt, refused to hear the appeal, leaving Pence cornered. With his legal options exhausted and the weight of history pressing down, Pence cut a deal 2 weeks ago. Voluntary testimony with strict limits, no grilling on his internal Senate deliberations or thought processes during the count, but open season on White House conversations, the pressure tactics directed at him personally, and events he witnessed purely as vice president, not as presiding officer. Today, he honored that pact, sitting for those grueling 251 minutes of sworn statements that sources say painted a vivid, unflinching picture of coercion from the highest office. Hit that like button right now. Smash it if you grasp the gravity of this seismic event. The former VP just testified against his ex-running mate, the guy he campaigned with across flyover country, governed with through a pandemic and economic turmoil, and nearly died for on January 6th, when rioters, egged on by Trump's rhetoric, chanted, "Hang Mike Pence," as they stormed the Capitol. This is the inner circle imploding in court, the facade of unity crumbling under the glare of truth, and the algorithm only amplifies what you engage with. Likes, shares, comments fuel the reach. At 2:15 p.m., courtroom sources, attorneys, and observers with ringside seats started leaking specifics to trusted reporters, painting a timeline of torment. Pence detailed multiple calls from Trump in the frantic lead-up to January 6th, where the president repeatedly urged him to reject Biden's electoral votes from key states or stall the certification process entirely, dangling promises of political protection or threats of isolation. He recounted Trump warning that refusal would brand him disloyal and jeopardize his standing in the party, potentially torpedoing any future ambitions. On the morning of January 6th itself, Trump allegedly called it Pence's last chance to do the right thing, framing it as a loyalty test. Pence testified he rebuffed every single plea, time and again, insisting it was not only unconstitutional but flat out illegal, a violation of his oath. Drop a comment below. What shocks you most about this insider flip, the pleas, the threats, or Pence's steadfast refusal? I'm reading everyone because this betrayal narrative, this shift from ally to accuser, will define the trial's trajectory and perhaps the party's soul-searching. At 2:47 p.m., the floodgates opened wider as details of the bombshell recording emerged from those same sources. It's from January 5th, 2021, the eve of the storm, a tense 4-minute, 23-second call where Trump's voice drips with uncharacteristic vulnerability. "Mike, I am begging you, please do not certify these votes. You can stop this. You have to stop this. I have done so much for you. I gave you this position. I need you to do this one thing for me." The words hang like an indictment, revealing not a fighter against fraud, but a leader clinging to power. Pence's response, calm and principled. "Mr. President, I cannot do what you are asking. I have studied the Constitution. I have consulted with constitutional scholars. The Vice President does not have the power to reject or delay certification. I have no choice but to fulfill my constitutional duty." Trump fires back, his tone sharpening. "Then you are going to let them steal this election. You are weak. You are letting me down." "History will not be kind to you, Mike." The call cuts off abruptly, leaving silence that speaks volumes. Share this video now. Send it to your skeptical friends, because this audio isn't some abstract allegation. It's Trump in his own unfiltered words, exposing raw intent, a plea that undercuts any good faith defense. You deserve the receipts, the hard evidence that makes this more than hearsay. This takedown rewires the entire case, turning abstract charges into personal drama. Receipt 1, the subpoena battle timeline, a months-long saga documented in court filings. Pence's initial resistance via the speech or debate clause wasn't just a delay tactic. It highlighted how intimately close he was to the fire, protecting legislative acts, but inevitably exposing the executive branch pressures that bled into them. The court rulings stripped that shield layer by layer, forcing the truth to surface like a buried artifact. Receipt 2, the deal's scope, negotiated in backroom sessions 2 weeks prior. By limiting questions to non-Senate matters, it let prosecutors zero in on the Oval Office coercion without tripping over constitutional wires, effectively turning Pence's once ironclad loyalty into a precision weapon against Trump's narrative of innocence. Dive deeper. The agreement included provisions for Pence to reference his notes from those calls, contemporaneous jottings that matched White House logs to the minute. Receipt 3, the call logs themselves. Sources confirm Pence provided detailed timestamps from December 2020 onward, corroborating his account of an escalating pressure campaign that started subtle and turned overt, with calls increasing in frequency and intensity as certification loomed. These weren't casual chats. They were calculated attempts to bend the VP's will. Receipt 4, the audio authentication process. Forensically verified by FBI digital experts using chain of custody protocols, this isn't some doctored deepfake. It's gold standard evidence played in court to underscore Trump's knowledge of his electoral defeat and his willful push to subvert it anyway. Add receipt 5 for emphasis, Pence's demeanor under oath. Witnesses describe him as unflinching, delivering answers with the precision of a surgeon, no emotion clouding the facts, which only amplifies credibility in a jury's eyes. At 3:34 p.m., Trump erupted on Truth Social, his platform of choice for unfiltered fury. Mike Pence is a coward and a traitor. He lied under oath today. Everything he told prosecutors is a lie. I never begged him to do anything. I asked him to follow the law. The tape they played is fake. I will be suing Mike Pence for defamation. He betrayed me. He betrayed the American people, and now he is betraying the truth. This all-caps rant labels Pence a traitor, threatens lawsuits with the vigor of a cornered animal, and denies the recording outright, despite its court-accepted authenticity and forensic backing. It's vintage Trump: deny, deflect, destroy. At 4:15 p.m., Pence's team countered with measured restraint. The former vice president testified truthfully today. He told the court what happened. He told the court what was said. He did not betray anyone. He fulfilled his oath to the Constitution just as he did on January 6th. The former vice president has nothing to apologize for and nothing to retract. No fireworks, just facts, a stark contrast that underscores the divide. Trump's coping mechanism, predictably chaotic and unhinged. His post reeks of desperation, shifting seamlessly from blanket denial to vicious personal attacks, branding his former VP as the villain. But this hits different. Past targets like Sessions or Cohen folded under the barrage. Pence stands firm, anchored by constitutional duty, and perhaps a lingering sense of betrayal from January 6th. Trump snared in his own myth, the unbreakable leader, the deal-maker supreme, undone by his own VP's unyielding integrity. He's flailing, not leading. Watch for press briefings where spokespeople stumble, pivot to witch hunts or deep state conspiracies, but the veil of invincibility lifts. Trump looks cornered, lashing out at unyielding facts that refuse to bend to his will. And Pence? He's ignoring the noise, letting his testimony speak, starving the drama while serving up consequences. Let's dissect Mike Pence in depth. Admire or question his timing, but respect the pivot from loyalist to truth-teller. No fluke. This was a masterclass in reluctant duty, a clinic in navigating moral minefields. Leaders facing Trump either brawl publicly, losing credibility in the mud, or fold silently, losing their soul to complicity. Pence chose a third path: resist legally to the bitter end, then testify surgically when cornered. His strategy rested on 4 pillars. 1, exhaust every appeal, buy time, test protections like speech or debate, showing commitment to process over partisanship. This involved briefs to 3 courts, each rejection building his case for inevitability. 2, limit exposure through the deal. Carve out Senate immunity to focus fire solely on Trump's pleas, transforming potential vulnerability into targeted strikes. Negotiations included red lines on questions, ensuring testimony hit hard without overreach. 3, stay measured and serene. No fiery interviews on cable news, no victory laps, just oath-bound truth delivered with evangelical calm, making Trump seem erratic by comparison. Pence framed himself not as a vendetta seeker, but as a constitutional guardian, the steady hand preserving democracy. 4, leverage personal risk. Pence knew this would alienate MAGA base, torpedo any 2028 ambitions, yet he proceeded, adding weight to his words as a witness with everything to lose. This is a new breed of loyalty, to law over leader, to country over career. Why does this matter for you, whether you're in swing states like Pennsylvania or red strongholds in Texas? The rules of the game just flipped irrevocably. Post-2020, the assumption was Trump loyalty trumps all, pun intended, binding the party in ironclad fealty. Today, that erodes visibly. A VP infiltrates the narrative from within, halts the denial machine with facts. Your politics? Now influenced by these insider flips where duty overrides dogma. Reality bites hard. MAGA first has hard bounds at the Constitution's edges. For Trump fans, this is alarming. His circle phrase, undone by duty-bound defections that expose vulnerabilities. For critics, it's an alert. Institutions can hold firm, but only with principled stands from unexpected quarters. Globally, the playbook drops. Allies and adversaries see how to counter denialism, not with fights, but with facts, patience, and unassailable evidence. Beijing, Brussels, even Moscow might jot notes on leveraging insiders against strongmen. Tomorrow, Trump's vulnerable and volatile, a wounded titan lashing out. Scenario A, conviction catalyst. The jury buys Pence's unvarnished account plus the raw audio. They see intent crystallized, leading to guilty verdicts on all counts. This turning point seals the deal, proving knowledge of wrongdoing. Scenario B, partial blow. The testimony lands hard, but defense muddies waters with sincere belief in fraud arguments. Jury splits, convicting on obstruction but acquitting on conspiracy. Damaging, but not fatal. Scenario C, discredit backfire. Cross-exam highlights supposed grudges or inconsistencies. Pence gets undermined as a bitter has-been, weakening the case overall. Add Scenario D, mistrial wildcard. If leaks or Trump's threats taint the jury pool, proceedings derail, forcing a restart amid chaos. Ponder this indelible snapshot. Pence exiting the court, silent amid the media maelstrom. Contrast that to Trump's digital rage, fingers flying on Truth Social. The court averted a narrative collapse, compelled by Pence's clarity and the unyielding audio. The Trump-Pence alliance holds, fractured beyond repair. Realizing your ex-boss's desperate pleas alters trust forever, like discovering a foundation crack in your home. This wasn't mere testimony, it was a paradigm rupture. Trump aimed to bend rules to his will. Instead, he bent his legacy into question marks. Will he accept this gut punch or shred norms by suing Pence and escalating the circus? I scour every reply. Share your scenario prediction below. For the trial twists before DC even deciphers them, subscribe now and turn on notifications. You're on the feed that foresaw this insider flip when others called Pence eternally silent. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Mariana Haidar.